a very special edition of the Mix Doorstep Dinners. I'm very excited for this one because we're going Peruvian. I'm here in my Peru football shirt, Peruvian hat, Peru trousers, which are by far my favourite trousers that I own. But yes, and we're going to make a dish called Lomo Saltado, which is a classic Peruvian dish. And think maybe a little bit like kind of beef stir fry with rice and chips, something like that. And it's really simple to make and absolutely delicious, so you'll be absolutely fine. So we're going to start with the chips, and actually just one thing to note, Peruvians love their carbs, rice and potatoes. But if rice and chips sounds like way too much for you, then you can just pick your favourite, just do rice or just do chips to go with the beef, and that'll be absolutely fine. But we're going to start with our chips. I'm going to take my hat off because it's going to get far too warm. But yeah, make sure you preheat your oven. I'm just going to pop a bit of oil on the tray just to get that heating up nicely. If you did the Christmas dinner that we did, you might remember how we got the oil heating up and then added the potatoes for the roast potatoes. But yes, give your potatoes a good scrub under the tap. With your chopping board, I mean we're going for chips, so it depends how chunky or not you like your chips. But I'll probably slice this into maybe, let's see, 4 lengthways first of all. And then you can just go along there like that to get some nice chip shapes. And yeah, you can kind of decide how thick or thin you want them. The thicker they are, the longer they'll take to cook. The thinner they are, the quicker. So if you're super hungry, then bear that in mind. There they are. So I'm pretty happy with them, I think. They're all good shapes and sizes. Tray out, the oil's had a bit of time to heat up. Just going to move the oil around a little bit to cover the tray nice and evenly. We're going to get our potatoes on. Oh yeah, hear a bit of sizzle there. That's a good sign.
Can you, if you haven't got any oil, can you use butter? Or
absolutely, yeah, butter will do the job. Yeah, some
any
sort of
oil.
spread. Yeah, it doesn't really matter what kind of oil, whatever you've got around. Because chips, give it a nice little pinch of salt, a bit of pepper. I might just put a tiny bit more oil on there to make sure that they don't stick to the tray. You'll have to see, how much oil you think you'll need. That should be grand. I'm just going to give them a good little mix around. Right, I think that's looking good. We'll put them in and see how we go. Just in the middle of your oven. And they'll probably take about half an hour, 35 minutes, something like that. But we'll have a check on them after 15-20 minutes, see how they're doing. Good, so the potatoes are in the oven. So whilst they're cooking, I'll get on with the rice. That'll be the next part. A full mug is good for about 4 people. So I'm going to do nearly a mug of rice. There we are. So I can just put that in the pan. Nice pan like that. And the thing with rice is, little trick, you basically just want double the amount of water to rice. So I'm just going to do 2 almost full mugs of water, and that'll be grand. 2. And to be honest, that's all you need for rice. A little mix around. And we're going to turn the heat on for that. So you want to bring it to the boil first, so nice high heat. I'll pop the lid on for now, and then once it's boiling, we'll bring it down and just give it a little boil. So now I can get on prepping the mystery ingredients for the Lomo Saltado. So we've got a few things here. We've got the beef. So let's start with the beef, and of course, I'm sure you remember when using meat, it's ideal to use a different chopping board. So I'll get our meat chopping board out, and a different knife as well. I don't want to be cross-contaminating the knives. So with a Lomo Saltado, what you really want is nice like strips of beef and the vegetables that you're using. I mean, this beef is already chopped, so yeah, I'm just gonna slice some of the thicker bits of beef, but most of this is fine, to be honest. So if you can, then get nice big long strips, but otherwise little squares is absolutely fine. So just some of the thicker bits. I don't know. Right, so my beef is in a bowl. I'm gonna give my hands a good wash, and I'll make sure I give this a good wash as well. So, I'm just looking at the rice. Looks like there's a bit of action going on. If we have a look. Oh yeah, that started boiling. Look at that. So we're going to turn that down to a nice simmer. So I've just turned that all the way down to the lowest heat, and that'll just simmer away nicely. In I reckon about 15 minutes. So that might be ready a bit early actually. That's fine. But we'll check on it again in another 10 minutes or so, see how it's doing.
How do you know when it is cooked?
So this is the beauty of the double water to rice. Basically, your rice is going to be cooked when the water's gone. So it's really easy, yeah. And that means you don't have to drain it through a sieve or a colander or whatever, because the water's gone.
That's really clever.
Do you know what? I think I might have learned that from you actually. But right, anyway, we need to crack on because the rice is getting ready. We're going to get our onions going. So these are quite big onions, these ones. But that's good because we want good strips of onions. So I'm just going to chop the ends off first, both ends, just the very end bit. And I'm going to get my food compost bin out, so I've got something to put the onion skin into. So I'm going to peel the onion, getting the outer layer. And I'm going to slice it. Well, I'm going to chop it in half first, like this. There we are, and then get some good strips of onions going like that. Kind of reasonably thick, not super thick, but not super thin either.
So you're using quite a big knife there.
Yeah, you don't have to use a knife this big. I don't know, it makes me feel like a professional chef if I use a big knife. But you don't need to use a knife as big as this one. Right, that's our onion ready. And what else do we need? So we've got a couple of cloves of garlic. The garlic tended to go in most Peruvian dishes. Just peel it and then chop it pretty small. You do want it fairly small, but it doesn't need to be crazy small. Right, so just gonna thinly slice it. Yeah, you're probably on the wrong side. I'm left-handed, so you can't really see what I'm doing very well, can you? But I'm basically just thinly chopping garlic. Right, there's the garlic. Good to go. Right, the potatoes have been in about 15-20 minutes. I'm going to have a little look at them. Might work. Okay, yeah. They're starting to come along. Ooh. These ones are slightly sticking to the tray. I maybe needed a tiny bit more oil. but a bit of patience and
Good.
digging underneath. Oh yeah, look at that. That was quite brown on the other side. But yeah, try and get them nicely spaced apart again. And we'll leave them cooking for a little bit longer. I reckon another 15 minutes and they'll be looking pretty good. And the rice, yeah, we'll have a little look at the rice. Look at that, bubbling away nicely. Don't be afraid, you can have a look, have a little stir. You can see there's still quite a bit of water there, so it's still got a while to go, which is good because we're not done yet. That's grand, we'll leave that bubbling away nicely. Okay, so we've got the onion chopped, got the garlic chopped, the beef's ready. Just need to chop the tomatoes. So we've got the tomatoes. Again, we're thinking kind of strips is the idea. So if you can find a way of getting sort of tomato strips, then brilliant. I'm probably going to go like in 3, like that. Oh, that was ambitious. And then just sort of, oh, that's not gone very well really, but never mind.
Get very juicy.
Yeah, don't worry if the tomato starts disintegrating on you. Just, yeah, try and work out the best way of getting strips of tomato. Maybe, well, we'll go in half this time and see what happens. Oh, like that. Lovely jubbly. So that's our onion ready, garlic ready, tomato ready, beef ready. Got the soy sauce out by the cooker, ready to chuck a little bit in. So we're pretty much good to go really. Right, so we're going to have another check on the rice, see how it's doing. And you'll see actually there's not really any water left, it's just starting to stick a tiny bit at the bottom, so that means we can turn it off. That's all done, and yeah, just give it a little stir, making sure it doesn't stick too much at the bottom. We just caught it in time there. Good job. Right, so that's all done. So that's fine. We can just leave that there. That's all good. We're gonna have a little another check on my chips as well. See how they're doing. Oh, I think they're coming along nicely.
Do you need me to taste them?
No, I think we're fine, thank you. Yeah, quite pale still, but that's fine because we still need to cook the beef. So by the time we cook the beef, they'll be absolutely golden. Mum's just sneaking the chip. Great. So I think we're ready to get going with the beef. So we're going to get the pan on because you want a good hot pan. If you've got a big wok like this, amazing. If you haven't, just use a good saucepan, good frying pan, and you'll be grand. So that's on a good high heat. We're going to add a bit of oil to the pan. Get that heating up nicely.
So it's important to have the oil hot then?
Yeah, you want the oil good and hot, because basically this dish doesn't take long at all to cook. But yeah, you want it nice and hot to begin with. And it's going to be quite quick cooking, the cooking process. So I'll talk you through it. So we're going to chuck the beef in, nice and hot, get that sizzling, get that brown. Then going to chuck the onions in, not very long at all really, with a bit of soy sauce. And then we'll add the tomato and the garlic, and that'll be that. We'll be good to go.
Wow.
Smoky, yeah, there's a bit of smoke coming off that. So yeah, just be careful when you put the beef in. It might be a bit of spitting, so just keep your distance. Alright, then we go with the beef. Give that a good stir. Nice high heat. You want it to cook nice and quickly. It's already starting to brown quite a lot of the beef.
Brown all over?
Yeah, do you want it to brown all over, and then we can add the onion. Oh, that's smelling very nice, that beef. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. That's pretty brown all over. Right, so we're going to add our onion. In goes the onion. Get all the onion in. There we go. And a good splash of soy sauce. There we are. Right. Splashing around. Give that a good stir. Yeah, it gets a bit, breaks up a bit.
Is that just a minute or two?
Yeah, that's probably, the beef's probably had about 5 minutes now. Onion's had about a minute or two. So we're going to add in tomato and garlic. In they go.
All very quick.
All very quick, but you'll be fine, don't worry.
So the secret is to have everything ready to go. Everything
Yeah.
chopped up.
Absolutely. Everything chopped, everything ready to go. Look at the colour of that. That looks glorious.
Smells good.
It smells very good. If only you could smell it. I think that's looking good because we don't want our onions too soft. You want them to have a bit of crunch still. So there we go. That's cooking nicely in there. The rice is ready. The chips are ready. I'm gonna. Well, you can have a little peek through the oven door. Look at them. Beautiful. So I'm going to turn the oven off. I'll do rice, chips, Lomo Saltado. Give it one final stir. And that will do very nicely. So it goes. Hope you enjoy this Peruvian speciality and let us know how you get on.